By the end of the day, your willpower isn't gone because you're weak. It's gone because you spent it on 100 small decisions before money ever entered the picture. What to wear, what to eat, what to say in that one email. By 8 p.m., your brain is running on empty, and that's exactly when the impulse purchase happens. If you've ever wondered why your self-control seems to disappear at night, hit subscribe, because this channel breaks down exactly why that happens. This isn't a character problem, it's a resource problem. And resources can be managed. Today we're looking at how to protect your willpower before money ever enters the picture. Psychologists call this decision fatigue. Every choice you make, no matter how small, pulls from the same mental battery. Your brain doesn't have a separate tank for important decisions and unimportant ones. It's all the same fuel. So, the argument you had at work, the 15 tabs you closed deciding what to watch, the back and forth over lunch, that all counts. By the time you open a shopping app at night, you're not making a decision with a full tank. You're making it running on fumes. And a tired brain doesn't suddenly get better at resisting temptation. It gets worse. Research on self-control shows the same pattern over and over. The later in the day, the weaker the resistance. That's not a coincidence. That's biology. Think about a completely ordinary Tuesday. You decide what to wear before you've had coffee. You decide how to answer 3 emails before 9 a.m., each one requiring you to choose a tone, a level of honesty, a level of patience. You decide what to make for lunch, or you decide to skip that decision and just order something, which is its own decision. You decide how to respond when a coworker is short with you, and you decide not to say what you actually wanted to say. None of these feel like decisions in the moment. They feel like just getting through the day. But your brain doesn't file them as small. It files them as withdrawals from the same account. Here's the part that changes everything. Willpower isn't a personality trait. It's a depletable resource, just like physical energy. You wouldn't expect to run a marathon after already running one earlier that day. But that's exactly what you're asking your brain to do every time you try to just have more discipline at 9 p.m. This is why the same person who calmly declines a purchase at 10 a.m. will buy the same item without hesitation at 10 p.m. Nothing about their character changed in those 12 hours. Their reserves did. So if willpower is finite, the fix isn't trying to have more of it. The fix is spending less of it on things that don't matter. That's where decision reduction comes in. Every choice you eliminate ahead of time is willpower you get to keep for later. This is why some of the most financially disciplined people you know don't look disciplined at all in the moment. If this is helping connect the dots, subscribe now. We cover a new piece of money psychology like this every week. They just never put themselves in the position of having to decide. Automatic transfers on payday before the money ever sits in a checking account tempting you. A default answer to "should I buy this?" A 24-hour rule, set once, applied every time. A grocery list decided in the morning, not a wandering decision made hungry in aisle 9. A capped number of shopping apps on the home screen. So the impulse has to survive a few extra taps before it becomes a purchase. None of that is willpower. It's willpower avoidance. And it works better than willpower ever did. The idea is simple. Decide once, in the morning, when your reserves are full, instead of deciding fresh every single night when they're not. A rule made at 8 a.m. is a decision. The same rule applied at 8 p.m. is just a reflex, and reflexes don't cost you anything. There's also a quieter cost to decision fatigue that doesn't get talked about enough. Money anxiety. When your brain is depleted, it doesn't just get impulsive, it gets avoidant. That unopened banking app. That bill you'll deal with tomorrow. That statement you scroll past without actually reading the number. That's not laziness either. That's the same empty tank, just showing up as avoidance instead of spending. One version of a depleted brain reaches for something to feel better. The other version just shuts the door and hopes the problem waits. Both are symptoms of the same problem, and both get worse the more tired you are. This is also why money advice that only talks about discipline so often fails. Telling someone with an empty tank to simply want it more doesn't refill the tank. It just adds another decision, whether to feel guilty about it, on top of a system that's already overloaded. So here's the shift. Stop asking, Why do I have no self-control at night? Start asking, what decided today before money ever came up? If the answer is 50 small things, the impulse buy at 8 p.m. was never really about the item. It was about running out of fuel long before you ever opened your wallet. The practical version of this looks less like motivation and more like architecture. Protect your morning decisions because that's where your reserves are highest and your judgment is best. Automate the money choices that don't need a fresh vote every day. Savings, bills, the boring recurring stuff. Build a small number of default rules for the choices that do need judgment, so the judgment only has to happen once. And treat a 9 p.m. purchase decision the same way you'd treat a 9 p.m. legal contract. With suspicion, not shame, just an awareness that this is not your best resourced self making the call. Protect your willpower earlier in the day, and you won't need as much of it later. Make the money decisions automatic, and you remove the moment where willpower is even required. That's not a discipline problem, that's a design problem, and design problems have solutions. If you want more of this, the psychology behind your money decisions, not just the spreadsheets, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.